Killian Forum presents a special look back on the news and sports that made the headlines in 1983. And now, once again, here's Tracy Barrett.
Starting the year off was the plot to kill Pope John Paul II. Bulgarian agents armed Turkish gunmen and backed his attempt to kill Pope John Paul II. The implication was that the Soviet Union had conspired with Bulgaria to get rid of a Polish pope. The most unsettling question was whether the intrigue could be traced to the KGB chief who became leader of the Soviet Union. Treasury Secretary Donald T. Reagan unexpectedly called for a new tax increase to close a budget deficit that was beginning to become unimaginably large. This showed a sign that a recovery in 1983 may be choked off by astronomical federal budget deficits. Also in January, arms control was another big topic. The Soviet foreign minister referred to the U.S. as gamblers and confidence men who say that they are ready to plunge humanity into nuclear catastrophe for the sake of their ambition. Reagan talked to the Soviets by saying that their promises, quote, are like pie crust, made to be broken. With more than usual bombast, the superpowers warmed up for another round of arms control talks. In February, there was finally some good news for American consumers on oil prices. The cost of gasoline dipped below $1 in some parts of the country. This breakup in oil prices might also have helped spur an economic recovery. In February, after 11 years of action, MASH 4077 had to close up their tents and head on home. In length of service, critical commendations, and number of heart-captured moments, the show ranked as the greatest success in TV's history. AIDS, brought out in April, was the epidemic of the 80s. It began in 1981 in the homosexual communities of New York, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. But the mysterious and deadly disease quickly spread to other groups and soon may move into the population at large. In April's issue, the disease had already affected 1,300 Americans. In May, a huge car bomb ripped through the U.S. Lebanese embassy, killing at least 47 American Lebanese and injuring more than 130 others. A pro-Iranian Lebanese terrorist group claimed responsibility for the attack. Ronald Reagan vowed to continue the push for peace in the Middle East and sent George Shultz to the troubled region to show the flag. In the middle of June, Sally Ride was the first woman to wear the Stars and Stripes and fly into space. For 6 days, Ride and her 4 male crewmates aboard the Space Shuttle Challenger conducted many experiments, launched satellites, and fired the imagination of folks back home who have always dreamed of going to the 20th century greatest adventure. In August, bristling with firepower, the aircraft carrier, the Ranger, made a rendezvous with 7 other warships in the Pacific, then headed for maneuvers off Nicaragua. The U.S. show of force did serve as a clear warning to Nicaragua's regime to shape up or risk being brought down. To help sell his policy to a skeptical Congress and public, the president drafted Henry Kissinger to head a panel on Central America. Also in August, states from Indiana to Texas experienced the drought of '83. The drought turned the nation's breadbasket into a disaster area. As the forecast of more dry weather sent corn prices souring, the experts had predicted the smallest harvest in nearly a decade. The new fashions of 1983 are the flash fashions. The new flash dance set off a sizzling summer fad, the raggedy chick look. Just when you noticed, gratefully, that last year's Valley Girls had finally grodied their last max, along came the flash dance fad. This is the look of artfully torn t-shirts hanging off either the right or left shoulder. In September, the Marines went under fire in Lebanon. Ronald Reagan tried insisting that the American peacekeepers were still not involved in hostilities, and he worked to keep Congress from invoking the War Powers Act. But as the U.S. positions came under heavy attack, he authorized the Marines to return fire in self-defense. To back them up, U.S. warships pounded insurgent artillery positions. Also in September, in a flash, an unarmed South Korean jetliner fell from the Pacific sky. This was the victim of Soviet fighter attack that killed 269 innocent civilians and put a serious new chill in U.S.-Soviet relations. The mid-air assault left a swarm of unanswered questions and triggered a wave of confusion around the world. In November, it was a time of testing for Ronald Reagan and the American people. It was a week in which, for the first time since Vietnam, the real cost of a superpower's global burden became suddenly and dramatically clear. In Grenada, the American military executed a startling preemptive strike against ultra-leftist rebels. And that concludes the 83 News Review. I'm Tracy, and happy holidays.
The year in sports, here's Joel.
Redskins, powered by the explosive running of fullback John Riggins, defeated the Miami Dolphins 27-17 in Super Bowl 17 in Pasadena, California. The Philadelphia 76ers made a run at the best record in NBA history. The record is 70-12. The Sixers finished at 69-13, one game short of the record. However, they did go on to sweep the NBA championship series against the Lakers, 4-0. A new football league, the United States Football League, played its first season in 1983 and enjoyed moderate success while grabbing many players from the NFL and even signing Georgia running back Herschel Walker out of his junior year in college. The New Jersey Devils, the team that signed Walker, ignored the league policy of not signing a player until after his class graduates. This policy, observed by both the NFL and the USFL, caused an uproar in both leagues. March brought about a reunion for former Cincinnati Red stars Pete Rose, Joe Morgan, and Tony Perez. Rose, who had been with the Phillies since 1978, was rejoined by former teammates Morgan and Perez before the 1983 season. World heavyweight boxing champ Larry Holmes almost lost his World Boxing Council title to unheralded challenger Tim Witherspoon in May. It was the closest Holmes ever came to losing a fight. After the fight, his record stood at 43 wins with no defeats and 15 title defenses. The New York Islanders defeated Wayne Gretzky and the Edmonton Oilers to capture their fourth straight Stanley Cup title. Their victory tied the previous record set by the 1956 to 1959 Montreal Canadiens. In October, Joe Altobelli, rookie manager of the Baltimore Orioles, led the O's to a World Series title in 1983 while at the same time replacing a legacy in Earl Weaver, the former O's manager. The Orioles defeated the Phillies 4-1. The National League, North Carolina State Wolfpack defeated the Houston Cougars in April in the championship game of the NCAA basketball tournament. The game was won on a dunk by forward Lorenzo Charles with time running out. The Nebraska Cornhuskers won all 12 of their games this season in college football. They were therefore ranked first for the entire season. They'll meet the number 4 ranked University of Miami Hurricanes on January 2nd in the Orange Bowl Classic. UM, after losing their first game to the University of Florida Gators, went on to win 10 straight and finish the season at 10-1. And that's a look back at sports in 1983.
It's Killian Billboard. Here's Jackie Marseille.
Today, December 13th, there will be a chorus concert in the Little Theater. Thursday, the 15th, there will be an instrumental concert, band and orchestra, also in the Little Theater. On December 15th and 16th, Santagrams will be delivered. December 19th, winter vacation begins, and there will be no school until January 3rd. January 5th through 7th, there is a Florida Music Educators Contest. January 10th through 12th, yearbooks will be on sale for $28. January 13th and 14th, there will be a Thespian Individual Contest at FIU. Final copies for Silver Night applications must be turned in by January 17th. There is no school January 16th in observance of Martin Luther King's birthday. That's the Killian Forum billboard for this week, and I'd like to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.